Hi, I'm Granny, and we're going down the rabbit hole, or continuing down the rabbit hole, of my dad, William Terry Wells, and his World War II experiences. I want to point out that this bolo tie I'm wearing as a necklace was sent to me by one of my dad's dear friends who made it. I would like to express my deepest appreciation for you and your letter that you sent me, and for taking the time to write me. I received this letter in one of the most challenging times of my life. Your letter helped me remember the value of people's stories. I will be including later some of the memories of my dad you shared with me. First, I would like to share a point of curiosity of mine. It is estimated there were 40 million casualties from World War I. Some figures ranging from 15 to 22 million deaths, which is different than casualties, including approximately 9.7 million military personnel and 10 million civilians. In a war, a casualty is any person who is killed, wounded, captured, missing, or otherwise unable to serve due to injury or illness. The term is not interchangeable with death or fatality, as death is only one of the several ways a person can become a casualty, and can refer to both military personnel and civilians affected by the conflict. And here is what blows my mind. And I learned about this when I was taking a history class when I was finishing my bachelor's. A mind-blowing reminder is, during World War I, Kaiser Wilhelm II of Germany, Tsar Nicholas II of Russia, and King George V of Britain were all first cousins. Let that sink in just a little. As their mothers were either sisters or they were grandsons of Queen Victoria. I wonder well, luckily she was dead by then. But can you imagine how heartbreaking that would have been for her? Watching her. Despite their close ties, these three leaders were on opposite sides of World War I. I would recommend that you go down that rabbit hole and investigate the causes of World War I, because you will see. These stories I'm sharing with you and knowing incorporates everything. But one point I would like to make is the tragic example of World War I shows how misunderstandings result in wars, not only in countries, but in families. So, as a reminder, all these stories that I'm sharing cannot incorporate the many others who experienced World War II in Europe and Asia, and even movies that have been made take a little snippet, but in some ways you can translate that to so many other conflicts or episodes in a war in a country or the world. Anyway, but also in discussing with friends and acquaintances, I believe many of us believe that these stories are a form, or we should interpret them as sacred, because so many never made it home to share their experience, instead dying, sacrificing for our freedom. Too often those who did return suffered survivor's guilt, like my dad, along with the devastating memories that haunted their days, their nights, and their dreams. The movie Saving Private Ryan came out in 1998, soon after my dad died. and I felt that I should go and see it to honor what he and so many others had gone through. The opening scene of the movie was the D-Day landing on the beaches. It was so horrific. I got up from my seat and went to the back of the theater. There was a wall behind the last row and then a little lobby area. And once I got there, I realized that I didn't have to see what was on the screen and the sounds were muffled. Once I got back there, I realized a man was standing there in the dark, crying. He was about my dad's age, in his 70s. I walked over to him, stood beside him. He looked at me and told me that he was at Normandy. He saw his buddies blown up, the water red with their blood, body parts everywhere, and even on him. Bombs would hit the boats, sending shrapnel everywhere. The sounds of yelling and moaning and screaming and bombs and planes and guns and machine guns. There was so much debris on the sand. It was hard to see the sand, but the sand was red from the blood. He had never told anybody about his experience, not even his wife, who was in the theater with him. He shared with me for about 5 minutes, both crying. From the sound of the theater, it appeared that the landing scene was over. He gave me a hug and said he needed to join his wife, and I went back to my seat. When I got home from viewing the movie, the program Nightline was on. Their guests were more than 8 men who were on the beaches on D-Day. All of them confirmed that what was seen in that movie, because most of them were advisors to that movie, those scenes on the beaches were sanitized compared to what these men actually experienced. As I mentioned in my last episode, most of my dad's military records were destroyed in a fire on July 12, 1973, shortly after midnight, bells, whistles, midnight. There was a fire at the National Personnel Records Center located in Missouri. The first firefighters arrived within 5 minutes of the alarm, but the fire lasted for 22 hours and took 42 fire districts to put out. And I'm sure I'm not the only one thinking accelerants. My parents have been gone a long time, and so have their siblings, which makes learning more about how Dad earned 4 bronze medals during World War II a real challenge, and I'm not sure I'll ever find out. Dad claimed that he was grateful he never crashed a plane, but believed it was mostly luck. Dad belonged to the 101st Airborne Division and flew missions out of England, most of the time flying a C-47 transport. The 101st Airborne Division was primarily stationed and trained in Wiltshire and Berkshire counties of England, with key locations including the villages of Aldbourne and Ramsbury. Littlecote House served as the divisional headquarters. From these bases, units like Easy Company, Movies Made, and the 506th Parachute Infantry Regiment prepared for D-Day, the D-Day invasion. There will be more episodes that I'm preparing about Dad and World War II, and we'll be including more memories included from my dad's friend. Thanks for spending this time with me. Please join me next time when Granny goes down the rabbit hole. Please subscribe and share. Thank you.